Teacups, what's brewing? We are blonde this evening because I washed the other wigs. It got kind of sweaty and it's still drying. So there we go. Chantal's had a busy day. Oh, Chantal's had a busy couple of days. Now, right before I sat down to do this recap, she decided to change the name of a load of streams and she deleted one. So I'm just going to go through the names of what I'm covering today. If it's been deleted, I'll tell you, and if it's had a name change, I will tell you, because things just got very confusing. Okay, she is currently live as well, but I got to the point where I was like, I have to stop and do this, otherwise there's just no chance. Okay, so we're starting very briefly with the car rage. That was called You Ruined Your Own Channel. Then there was a deleted live that I believe came right after that. I grabbed it through Just Saying. She had it cut into two streams. I'm not actually entirely sure what this one was called, some variation on Beeze, but it's the one where he's sleeping upstairs. Maybe that was the name of it, I might be wrong. So we go through both of those, all my notes. Then we have the one called Hi, and that one she seems to have deleted in the last hour or so, because it was up when I was doing this today. Moves into a live called Join Us, which has now been changed to the title Probably in a Bad Mood. Then, because, she just can't help but make the worst possible case for herself in any situation, she did have one that was just the vomit emoji, and it's now called Crying Over My Narc Ex While He Shames Me. So this is going well. You can see it's all progressing nicely. The following one originally was called Ready Set Beeze, and now she has changed it to My Narc Ex Showed My Messages But Exposes Himself, which again, things are going great here. And now her current live is called Ready Set Beeze, because Chantal does not want people to be able to keep stories straight, apparently. So it's clearly been quite the couple of days for her. It has been hard to keep track, and with her just going live constantly, it's been hard to recap it and put it all together. So apologies that this is a little bit late, but the moment I thought I was ready, something else would start. So actually with the You Ruined Your Own Channel, the car rage, the title pretty much sums it up. It's another Nada Didi rage. She's only online for 4 minutes. And all you really need to take away that's somewhat new is she's driving really fast, and I'm really concerned that as she lifts up her glasses to make those faces, that she just won't be able to see correctly and she's going to kill somebody. And if she's lucky, it's only going to be her, but only if she's lucky. So I really wish she would take it a little bit more seriously. So in the next deleted live, it was about Kevin and him sleeping upstairs. We start with somebody sending her a pack of turbans in a multitude of different colours to her home address, because apparently Foodie never learns. She never learns. It's not shocking, but she never learns. So she's given her address out. Great. Apparently Kevin is sleeping upstairs. She does show his gloves and his helmet to try and prove that. She says that at some point that her bathroom is clogged and she told him to pee in the sink, and the guy was not impressed. She has a big announcement at 11:30. Now at this point she seems quite excited by the announcement. I was thinking it was going to be, oh look guys, Kevin is my new boyfriend, because that seemed to be what he wanted, and she was really about showing nada, because people were asking her and she was kind of anticipating. She loves the audience to beg a little. So they were like, well, why can't you tell us? She's like, no, you're gonna have to wait. And then it ended up not going that way. We then go into a try-on haul with various success at different parts. So the first dress she tried on was truly awful. Now, she didn't do herself any favors by it being way too small for her. She was like, it's okay, I can wear Spanx. She was very much past the point where Spanx were gonna help her, and you could see it, but that really isn't the issue here. If we were to actually ignore the size here or pretend that we had sized it up so it fit her correctly, that dress would not have been a good dress on her, because it was super wide at the shoulders, and all it makes that happen is, even if it were to cover her middle area correctly, she has got very little legs, and her legs comparative to the rest of her body are quite slim because she holds all her weight forward. So when you look at the shape of her, that dress just makes her look like a big upside down triangle. and it was never going to flatter her even if it fit. So this was a size issue because it was too small, but I'm not talking about, oh, well, she's fat, so it's ugly. That's not what this is about. It's just a bad dress for her shape in general. She had a black, I thought it was a dress, but it was actually a romper, the one with the buttons down. Now, I can see on Twitter that a lot of people are making fun of her about this because it gathers in an unfortunate place between her legs. So a lot of things are visible. Now, I actually think, like, yes, that's an issue. So hopefully she just lengthens the strap and gives herself a bit more moving room. But assuming we get rid of that, the romper is actually not a terrible look on her. I have an absolute hatred of rompers in general. I don't think they should exist as an item of clothing. But my personal prejudice aside, if she were to solve that problem, it wasn't a bad look on her. It really wasn't. She did have a jacket, which she said didn't go. I'm going to put a picture up. I was having trouble because the screen was a little small, or maybe it was just poorer quality. I'm not sure. The jacket didn't look too bad. And I was like, no, because with the jacket on, it kind of looks like wide leg trousers. So maybe it was just me not being able to see clearly, but I didn't mind the jacket, and she had an idea that she'd wear it with like a pair of jeans, a t-shirt. Could be cute. I didn't hate on the jacket. But something I did very much hate on was the green vest top. She was like, it's bodycon. And I'm like, honey, it's a vest top. I mean, I suppose technically, but I really didn't like it. It didn't fit her very well. And then she had these print leggings. Now, when she saw these print leggings in store, I was looking at them and thinking, you know what? She does have quite little legs comparatively. So if she's going to put a pattern anywhere, her legs are the place to do it. And she could have really done like a long tunic top. And I know that's kind of what she's trying to do with the vest top, but a nicely fitting one and a pattern legging could look cute. It didn't in this case, I think, because I do hate the green top. Together, it just kind of looked like a pair of pajamas, you know? And that's the impression I got. It doesn't look like an outfit you'd wear outside. It looks like something you go to bed in. She also showed us a pale colored t-shirt. I felt very mad about it. It wasn't quite the pale ham because she was wearing a ham colored turban. It was more a pale peach, but it just really wasn't a good color for her at all, I didn't think. So at this point, she's still trying to present the idea of, oh, look how good a guy. And people are like, you can see the happiness, which is quite hilarious considering how this day ended. Somebody, guys. So somebody sent some gift subscriptions to her chat. And I was like, why? Who would pay that kind of money? Either someone really supports her and I couldn't understand it, but it's a proper chaotic neutral troll though. Because it just means that like anyone can get it. So if her haters get it, things become chaotic very quickly. And once I thought of that, I really did quite appreciate it as an idea. She claims that the rage she had on the way home was because she had been watching Monty. And I was like, okay, and what are your excuse for every other rage you've ever had? Someone asked, why is Kevin sleeping in your bed instead of his if he has to work? And she was like, well, because mine is comfortable. And I'm just sitting there like, I hope you changed the sheets. I have seen the inside of your room. I hope you did something before he showed up because I don't know if I'd want to sleep in there. I don't know if I'd want to sleep in there. I know she made kind of an attempt to clean, but her room seemed to be the last bastion of gross. And if you then showed up and you're sleeping in a bed, Oh, this is when she shows his gloves and helmet, and she's just really enjoying people asking her what's the announcement. She said she blocked some people while raging. I was like, yeah, no shit. She also comes to the realization that I came to, which if people gift, it would be like open chat, but at least I'll be getting paid. Maybe I could do another level like the postcard club for more intimate chats, but I hate making people pay more to be less headache. Excuse me? She has reveled in charging people more before that. Remember when she was meant to have multiple tiers and she was like, no, these are my Beezes. I don't log on to take shit from everybody, so I'm doing a really expensive one and it can just be us. She was really enjoying that. So, you know, she couldn't maintain it because she couldn't keep up with 3 different tiers and still provide content. But To be like, oh, I'd hate to charge people more. Excuse you, madam. Her food delivery arrives. Sorry, I'm struggling with my own handwriting again. I've got to improve my penmanship. So she says Kevin is sleeping because he waited up because she was late, and she was late because of traffic. I didn't understand this. After I had written this as a point, I thought, okay, maybe he works nights, but it just didn't make a lot of sense unless I'm confusing him with the other guys. There's been a lot of guys. But when she was doing the car raid, she was filming, right? It was light outside when she was filming. Sorry, make my point. It was light outside when she was filming, and I went back and I went to see when that rage went up. And when I was checking it, it said 17 hours ago. So I checked the current time in Canada, and it was like 6:30 a.m.-ish. So it would have been about 2 p.m. when she recorded it and put it online. So then how could she have been that late? It's a 2-ish hour drive. If she was in bad traffic, let's say 3 or even 4, but what was he staying up for? I don't, like, there's, even if he was waiting for her, staying up wouldn't make sense, because even if we said, okay, she got home way late, she got home at like 5, 6, 7, 8, if you're looking at hours and hours of traffic, but I think there would have been some kind of news about ridiculous traffic in Canada to that extent, and we didn't hear anything. So I was just a little confused. I was like, did she go somewhere else on the way home? Which is a question that becomes relevant later, because otherwise, why would you be so late home? And then I went to check the live high, which she changed. No, is that the one she deleted? I'll check in a minute. She had filmed like 8 hours ago, which was about 10 p.m. her time. So I was a little bit confused by the timeline. I know that's not new for me with Foodie, but something about that didn't make sense. She says, Nada better not show receipts. He did. And by saying that, even if he hadn't, you're practically daring him to, which he does end up doing. He's not doing it this second, but he does it later. And then she was like, you're going to make yourself look stupid because it shows you answered some of my calls. If you hate me, why talk to me? Because it gives him fodder. That's why. She claims to know all this. She goes through the reasons why he might answer, but then she does nothing to prevent herself falling into the same trap every time. I really don't understand it. If you can see everything he's doing and you're giving him the proof he's going to use against you later, and you've said that you understand that he's using it as proof against you, why do you keep doing this? I feel like why is a question I ask a lot with her. She said she was yelling at him on video chat yesterday. And I was like, right, okay. So yesterday on video chat, I guess before she left, because when she got home, she was late. So the guy was there. Again, timelines a little bit wibbly wobbly. So then we go on to He's Sleeping Part 2. And she says, you know, she's not like that. She's very reactive. She doesn't think about stuff. And I'm like, okay, but you are not helpless to your own programming. You have an option to go and relearn how to process your emotions. That's why we keep saying, hey there, therapy. And you're choosing not to do it. So there's a point where that's not an excuse. You're naturally very reactive. You can choose better methods. And obviously she doesn't know them herself, so she can choose to go and learn better methods. And she doesn't. Even Nada went to anger management. I am aware that his anger management was court mandated, but she has the resources, she has the time, she has no excuse. And speaking of Nada, why are you sitting there? And she does mention how ridiculous it is, because she also did this with the other guy she slept with, where he was in the bathroom somewhere and she's checking Nada's live. If you're with these other guys, why are you doing that? Be in your own moment and come check the internet shit later. She's laughing at thirsty viewers of his. I was like, thirsty? If we wanted to use a word to describe Chantal right now, quite a few would come up, but I think thirsty would be fitting, among other things. I don't know, this doesn't seem the time to be like rating their desperation, is what I'm saying. Yeah? Someone asked, why did you call him 5 times? And she was like, because I was losing it. Okay, so you've said that. That's on camera now. And he's got the evidence on his phone. And you've changed the names of your streams to show that you're talking about him online. So that'll be great for the harassment charge. I'm not saying he's actually charging her, but he threatens to. And just, you're not helping yourself. Do you understand? Like, she actually goes out of her way to not help herself. And this is further compounded by the fact that she says, they have a file on me. And then she laughs at the fact that they're keeping records. I'd be more concerned. You don't look good here. I'd be more concerned than you are. We did have a section, and we had one in a later live as well. I can't remember quite which one it was, where she discusses the May case. I'll cover it a little bit. I just feel a bit ick discussing it, you know? We don't know. She's not great at talking about people. There's a lot of May is nuts and I don't believe her, and all the stuff that she gets angry about when people don't believe her, she then piles on to May. But the short story is, she's not entirely sure. She doesn't remember. She says she'll look it up, and that it was apparently October 18th, and she'll look at her live and any pictures she had on her phone and things like that. She did make a point, though, that apparently May is making videos discussing it, and therefore that is public content, and she gets to have an opinion on it. And I'm like, actually, no, that is a fair thing. I don't think, given that she potentially holds, I guess, could be termed evidence that might prove locations and things, I don't think it's a good idea to talk about it online. You know, just because someone else does something stupid doesn't mean you have to do it too. But if you're in an active case, I think the best way forward is always keep quiet until it's solved, until it's ruled on. But May's not making that choice, and Chantal's not making that choice, and they are free adults. They get to do what they want. She says she doesn't lie for him. Did you not see how uncomfortable I was when I lied for him? Well, those two things aren't the same. Oh, then she starts cussing out the user, is it Chicken Burger, who gifted the subs, because apparently that user may also have gifted subs in Nada's channel. So I think they just want to watch the world burn. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. In terms of May, and this is another thing that made me a little uncomfortable, she was like, I can't believe you would go and meet randos like that. And I'm like, excuse me, missed I fucked him on the hood of my car the first time we met. Who are you judging? Excuse me? Come on now. And then the rest of the stream is just Nada talk. So we'll move on to, it was called Hi, and that's the one that was deleted in the last hour or two, as of time of filming. So she's very soft-spoken. She's like, oh, it's so good to see you. Kevin went to work. It's 10 p.m.-ish when she says he's gone to work. So like I said, I'm guessing he works nights. And this is her saying, I might go to the psychiatrist, because she can recognize that she's not okay in the way she's reacting. But that being said, she abuses emergency services a lot when actually she needs to have like a call to her doctor and actually follow through on stuff. If you're not going to hurt yourself, or if you're not in the middle of an episode, and I know you could technically term what Chantal's doing as episodes, but if you're not at immediate risk, the psychiatrist is not for you. And what are they going to be able to do that you haven't already started a multitude of time with your doctor? You know, it's not the place for her. And later she confirms, no, because she doesn't want to go at night because she thinks she won't get the special attention, essentially, is what I'm reading into that anyway. Because at night, no, and how you get treated at night and when the doctors aren't there compared to the day. But because of that, she goes, no, I'll be okay, I'll go tomorrow. And I'm like, if you're okay to wait until tomorrow, then don't go to the psychiatrist, contact your doctor's office and make an appointment. Go get, I know it's Canada Day, but go get an emergency appointment somewhere, go into a clinic, go follow up with the therapist you were supposed to be seeing. Like, she's got a lot of resources that she's just laid waste to. And she could pick those back up. The psychiatrist is not the place if it's not an emergency. The clue is in the name. She says she can't deal with it, and I'm like, you and me both, love. And that she doesn't know exactly what she'd even say when she got there. What's she gonna say? I'm a mess? And I'm like, exactly. She has, not exactly she should say it, but the point is, it's not one thing that's acutely causing the issue for her. she's got a lot of generalized problems and she needs to talk about a lot of issues with professionals. That's not what the ER is for. She needs to make an appointment, she needs to talk to a team, and she needs to get proper support. And she's had that. She's had that multiple times. And she also says that she's off her meds because she forgets to take them, and that she needs to talk to the doctor because she, how did she phrase it? She was like, I don't want to just go back on them without talking to my doctor. And I was like, oh, but you can just come off them without talking to your doctor. Your doctor prescribed these meds for you. It was expected that you would go onto them. Going onto them is going to be less dangerous than coming off without warning. But she was just forgetting to take them, and now she needs an appointment, otherwise she can't do things. And when she gets the appointment, she either won't go or she'll be like, well, I can't deal with this because I'm depressed. And you're like, well, yeah. But if you don't do the thing, you can't fix the thing. The ER is the wrong resource, and I found it very frustrating during this whole conversation. You can probably tell. It's been a long day for me. She then moves back to guys and says, Tony is becoming another Nada. I can't deal. Now, if I remember her lies correctly, Tony is the one, as she stood there with her eyes closed to try and see if she could piece her story together. Tony is the one that she'd known for either 11 or 20 years. She's not sure which. So the idea of him being a new Nada should not be a shock to you. Like, you've apparently known this guy for like half of your life. Now, don't get me wrong, I think it was complete hogwash. I don't think she knows him at all. I think she met him on a dating app. But, you know, she wanted at the time to prove to Nada, she's like, oh no, just friends. No, you said sleeping in the same bed was just fine with friends. And she just picked up this rando guy. But then she's forgetting her stories. So this is where we are. So her announcement ends up being she's breaking up with Kevin because she doesn't like him. And I'm like, really? Really? I don't think that was what her announcement was supposed to be because she was anticipating it too much before. I think it was probably supposed to be he's my new boyfriend, and now it's not working. She's like, okay, no, I don't like him. I'm going to break up with him. She says she doesn't want to settle for people who aren't quite right or are just fine. I think she wants the perfect person. And when she says she wants the perfect person, I think what she actually means is she's waiting for Nada to change to be the perfect person and for them to be happy together. And it's not going to happen. But it does seem like no one's going to be able to fill the gap in the meantime. So there we go, despite her trying. So we then move on to Join Us, which has now been changed to probably in a bad mood. She starts by saying she's going to report some death threats to the police. On one hand, this might not be true. She showed no receipts. But on the other hand, if that was you, go outside and touch some fucking grass, could you? She's dumping Kevin. Did she say that in the last live, or is this is new? Or maybe she made the announcement here. It's just, I was running out of paper and some of my notes are a little bit shorthand. So she starts talking about Tony and how he's like Nada. And again, she was supposed to know this guy for 11 or 20 years. She was going to go because she had to go live, and he was pushing her to stay. He was like, no, stay here, go live later. So she spent most of the night watching him sleep. She did admit to fucking him later, but she spent most of the nights watching him sleep. And when she says watching, she actually means watching and taking pictures of his back to put on her community post, which she then deleted, which was really creepy. She claimed she got his permission. How he gave it asleep, I'm not sure, but I don't believe her. Also, she told us she couldn't leave because she'd had, I think it was 2 drinks and she'd smoked a joint. And that's where see, I'm staying here. It's totally fine to sleep in the same bed, you guys. We're just friends. Because she was trying to make the point to Nada and to make him jealous. So again, but she doesn't lie. She doesn't lie because it makes her uncomfortable. Oh, she did tell us a very, very awkward story. So she says after, she sent him some pictures of a vag and then some, what she termed hot sex gifts. And all he said back was, heh. And I was like, oh, well, that sounds awkward. The next day, she's all, oh, you don't like me. And Tony answers her right away, sending her a picture and just saying, no, I'm just at work. Or, sorry, I'm just busy with this. So she apparently seems to be getting emotion because she wants more attention and more response. She's sexting him at work and he's like, I'm busy. But he's answering her right away. And she's taking that as red flags. And I'm like, okay, I mean, there's lots of reasons someone can be a red flag, but basically it just seems like this is her just not getting enough attention and doing what we see her doing with Nadia all the time, where she just texting constantly and then not getting the response she feels she should get if he were madly in love with her, which is not where they are in their relationship. I don't know. I think she was phrasing that very carefully, but it sounds like she was being a little bit pushy herself. Guys, the literal rest of the stream is her talking about the size of dicks and her sexual preferences and what she likes in bed, and I hate all of it. I'm not covering that in any more detail, but it's very detailed, and I wish I didn't know these things about her. So now we go over to the vomit emoji, which is now called crying over my Narc Ex while he shames me. She says she needs to figure out direction in her life. She can't keep doing this. I mean, she then goes, I still haven't cancelled HelloFresh. I need a manager. I have no loyal people in my life. She starts crying, but in that kind of loud way she does instead of sincere, you know? She's like, but she wants this one to be sincere instead of just playing with the noise. That's when she admits to being off her meds, and I'm like, oh, well, that explains a lot. Because she forgets to take them. We've already talked about the doctor and stopping and starting and whatever. And she kind of works herself up into some kind of anxiety attack. My problem is because I find her so unsympathetic. I'm so unsympathetic to her now because I find her so hard to believe. I find it so hard to give her the benefit of the doubt because she stomps on it so much. So when she does these things, I'm like, this isn't real. And it might be real, but it doesn't feel real. Because she's like, maybe my reactions got worse over the past year and breaking up and I still love him and now he's being charged with SA. I wish it wasn't true. And then goes anyways and switches it off. I'm like, excuse you? Do that again? Do that again. She will do it again probably. But like I said, we heard it when she was drunk because she thought it was funny to fake it. And a little bit later, someone said, you need to take care of yourself. She goes, ugh. And when she's doing it as a joke, she makes the same noise. And then when she's doing it so she can cry online, you hear it again. Anyways, she switches it off, and a few seconds later, she's laughing. So she says she can't live unmedicated. I mean, she has taken a lot of edibles. It's exhausting cycling like this so many times a day, and that I can believe. Is exhausting for me to watch, so God knows what it's like to live through. She says she hates breaking down on camera, but it feels so natural now. That's actually a concern. Like, sometimes you are talking about things and you just lose it, but the longer she stays online and the more she disconnects from real life people, because she is fairly disconnected even as she's sleeping around a little bit, in terms of like proper solid relationships where she can talk about shit. Even Pete, who's been a friend for many years, one thing that's very clear about Pete is that he's not comfortable having an emotional conversation. It took a lot for him to grow a spine, come in and be like, would you shut the fuck up already? And she doesn't have that outlet in real life. And that's part of why we see that so messily online. But the more natural that feels, the less likely she is to address it in her real life. She needs a lot of things. She needs a lot of therapists, but those relationships are worth building. She needs to reconnect with her family and try and have some genuine conversation. But until she's ready to face herself, she can't face them, not properly. She then asks her chat, and I didn't like this at all. What medication do I need so I can ask the doctor? I was like, ask first. That's why there are doctors. The doctors will tell you that. But actually, she's supposed to be on medication now. This isn't the problem that her medication isn't working. The problem is she's not taking it. No medication will work if you don't take it. And if she's not going to follow through, what's the point in even asking? You either do something about it the way the doctor tells you to, or you suffer. And apparently she's chosen suffer. Someone then told her that he's sharing receipts right now on live. There are pictures around the internet of those receipts, but basically just showing and confirming that, what we thought, that when she got the hotel, she was thinking of him coming over, and she's admitted it since, being like, I invited him over And I was like, no drama, just sex. And then he didn't want to come. And she sent in pictures of all the weed stuff she was going to give him. She was like, oh, I ordered and I've got extras and I'll come give you a care package. And I'm like, nah. And there's no evidence of him replying, but there are voice calls that are shown as missed. Now, in a little bit, then we'll go back into this, but she's contacting him a hell of a lot more than he's contacting her from appearances. Someone asked, so you showed up at his house yesterday? And she says no. But then I think back to when she was driving home and she was raging, and that's what I mean. When she says, well, I got there late and Kevin was waiting, how late could you have gotten there? And maybe she did go to his. Maybe that accounts for the time difference. Or maybe I'm wrong and maybe Kevin works nights. I don't know. But there appears to be a time block and somebody is claiming he went there. I don't know if it was Nada and that's why the chat is asking, because I don't watch Nada. But to me, that's a little sus. She then moves on to ever practical. There must be some kind of spell to keep him blocked. And I'm like, we're relying on the magical arts now? That's where we're going? Okay, that's a choice. Responsible, reliable, all good. She hates him so much, but she loves him and she has to move on. Pete then comes on camera and talks to us while Chantal is ordering pizza. She hates having to leave us while she gets food and never talking about him again, which, given the next thumbnail was one of Dee Dee's face saying Shafel Sami's mom to the rescue, which I'm sure they probably screenshotted and added to the harassment case that Dee Dee has been threatening to file against her. It seems like our hopes might once again be dashed. So we're going to go on to that live that was originally called Ready, Set, Beeze. So apparently she got a message, or he maybe put in his live, I'm not quite sure how she got the information, saying that they were threatening to call the police if she kept harassing them. So instead of just not talking about him the way she promised to many times before this, she goes live because she's always got to have the last word. That's what this comes down to. We've said it before when she's like, how do I win? She mentions winning at some point in one of these streams as well, where she goes, I will always win. And that's what this is. She needs the mic drop. She needs the final word. She wants to end on something smart, I think is what she said at one point in this stream, the next stream. So she won't let it go because she won't get what he wants from him and she can't feel like she's walking away victorious, so she can't let it go. So he's released the receipts. She says, they make you look worse because you answered the calls. Apparently, some of the voice calls he did answer. There was like a 6-minute conversation, a 9-minute conversation, and some that were just a few seconds that could well have been him telling her to F off. At some point, I think she did complain that Dee Dee had read her over Messenger, over video chat at some point. So it could well have been that the longer message was Dee Dee having a go at her. I don't know. We don't know. But if you look at the receipts as they lie, it doesn't make Chantal look very good. It doesn't really damage Nada because if she's calling, and he's answering, he can just be like, well, I was telling her to stop. I was trying to get her to stop. And we know if there's one thing we can say about Chantal is that she's relentless. So she will text and text and text 1,000 times her words, and she'll just keep going and she'll drive through the night and she'll do these things. So him answering her voice calls is one thing, but you can see he hasn't answered the messages, so hers just keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. At one point she calls Dee Dee a cum bucket, and I feel kind of gross even saying that. Again, when we talk about harassment, she says, if you're going to the police, I'll tell them that you slapped me around. I have receipts. This is from the cheap hotel they went to when she didn't order him octopus, and so apparently he hit her. I can believe he did it. I can believe she doesn't have receipts. Because if she'd had receipts, we'd have seen them when she was trying to prove everything. I don't think she has them. And frankly, even if she does have them, she's polluted her own credibility so much with the police already by going and trying to charge him, by going back and being like, I want to change my statement. No, I'm not reliable. She went and told them all the things that make her unreliable. So why would they then accept her going back and saying, oh, and I was with this same guy that I've already asked for the charges to be dropped against, and he hit me here too. Even if they wanted to, what could they do with that? Oh, this was the statement about win though. You will not disrespect me on live. I will win every time. I mean, I'd love to see it, but you don't seem to be so far. Something else I really don't like her saying he smacked her, but then only keeping it for blackmail when she's mad. It's not a good look. Like, domestic abuse is actually a very serious thing, and I know she doesn't treat it as a serious thing, but it's a serious thing. So if you're going to charge him, but don't fuck around with it. Don't just keep it for the day when you're just pissed off just enough. Like, it's not okay. It's not okay the way she's doing it. He shouldn't be doing it, but if you think he should be punished, go try to get him punished and stop fucking around online with it. She mentions Dee Dee's work again and says the workplace should be ashamed of her, which is skirting a very thin line of attempting to hurt her job. Now, yes, she's just saying the thing, and then she very quickly says, oh, it's not doxing because everybody knows. I would say pretty confidently, I mean, I don't think YouTube's going to do anything about it, but if she is mentioning the name of the workplace online, whether Dee Dee has been doxed before or not, that information isn't public still officially. It's still Dee Dee's information. So if you're spreading that information, it's not going to look good. And maybe a terms of service violation. I'd be interested to look at the wording, but I know they tightened up the wording a little bit ago to be like, you cannot encourage people to go and say, contact their elderly mother who's sick. Now, I suppose the trick here would be the word release. She'd be like, well, I didn't release it, I just repeated it, but I feel like that should also be a problem. Also, again, if we're looking at Dee Dee and harassment, not defamation, I'm not talking about actual damages at work, because I think she'd have a harder time saying that. But if we're just talking about harassment, look, she took my real life job and she put it out online. She said they should be ashamed. And if that gets back, it just shows her trying to cause harm, even if she didn't cause harm. Hilariously, the best thing I can do about them now is ignore them. And yet here we are. People are telling her, you could have ended this months ago. And she's like, I know. But I want to end it with something smart. Again, she needs to have the last word. Chantal, the empath, then comes out with the gem, I cannot wait for the day to see you with nothing and crying. That is what she wants to see. It doesn't surprise me from Chantal at all, but when she tells you she's an empath, remember these many things. She then is like, oh, I'm going to go enjoy Canada Day without all this crap. And I'm like, oh, good job. She calls the Dollarama to check they're still open. She's going to get some kind of like cardboard poster board so she can put up a 60-day no contact with Nada. And I'm like, also through lives. If you're talking about them on live, it counts. Put that into the cardboard. Pete starts ranting about anti-vaxxers and getting the vaccine. I'm not sure where it came from. Something about going to Cornwall and seeing something, and I guess the people there. I wasn't sure. I don't like his rants. She then gets a message from Nada, whether she just got it or whether she was telling us for dramatic effect, I'm not sure. I asked you to don't talk about me anymore. I swear on my mother's life you will be in court. Something about stupid, and I didn't quite understand what she said. I have nothing else to say and I'm going to block you. I asked you a million times that you don't contact me. And this is the issue, right? She then rants about it and you're like, well, you know, well, actually no, she doesn't massively rant. She said, you sat talking shit on your channel last night and you think you have a case. Yeah, I think he does have a case. Even with all that, I think he has a case, or if not him, certainly Dee Dee, which would probably be pushed on by him. And Dee Dee certainly has a case. Now, I don't watch him. I don't know how deep the shit got on his part. But again, when you look through things, you'd be like, here are all the times she tried to contact me. We did have a very dramatic relationship. We were up and down a lot. But I'm with someone else now. She's been threatening her family or sending people from her channel to go threaten her family. She's been contacting me when I've asked her not to, which this is proof of. She has been saying these awful things. Here are all her live streams. Like, neither of them are innocent. Both of them are kind of trash, but in terms of a case, Dee Dee could build one. So she says to the chat, I'm not a nasty person by nature, but pushed to the limit like anyone else. I would wholeheartedly disagree with that. She's always seemed very mean-spirited in the way she talks about other people. Do you remember back in the day when she used to tell story times and she used to laugh about like the guy's sexual prowess or whatever it was? Like, she's very mean-spirited. She likes to make fun of people. For all she likes to accuse us, she really likes to make fun of people. She's angry here because she's not winning, but it's not because she's a better person, you know? The live does go on. At this point, I was like, I've got to do my makeup and go live. Is she going to go live again? And she has. But she went to go shower, and Pete came online for a bit to kind of babysit the chat. He talked a little bit about Star Trek and Star Wars, and nothing massively interesting after that. And then the Ready Set Beeze I haven't covered. So there we are. That has been her roller coaster of not a weekend, but of the last 2 days, I suppose. And things were going on while she was obviously in Montreal, but there was only so much I could cover. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed the recap. Godspeed if you're still watching her, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.